Music is an essential part of the atmosphere of a game, and World of Warcraft is not an exception to that. We all remember creating our first character, logging into an immense open world, waiting for us to explore it. It was overwhelming, we didn't know what to expect, but most importantly, we were excited to dive and discover all of its glory. Throughout our journey, in that vast, diverse and thrilling world, music played a huge role subconsciously without us realizing it. Music helped us immerse into the atmosphere of the game and whatever zone, dungeon, raid or city we were in. It always made us feel present at that moment and to appreciate all of the environment around us. Now, when we hear a soundtrack of a particular zone or raid, memories instantly hit us and we all remember the fun that we used to have in that particular place. This list is exactly about that. Music themes which bring back instant nostalgia, which all of us players can relate to. And of course, as different zones have sentimental feeling for different players, it will not be fair to rank them. If you ask a vanilla player where their most fun or frustrating experience has been, almost all of them will answer Stranglethorn Vale. We all remember how insane that trinket was and how many players would die trying to get it or simply getting the first trinket. Because 5 stamina, trust me, back in the days, that was a lot. For many players, this was the first time encountering with a player from the opposite faction. In this territory, the foundation of every player's PvP skills has been laid. There are so many magical moments, quests and places related to that zone, it's unbelievable. For a starter, this was the zone where most players would hit level 40 and enjoy moving faster by 60%. It was like starting to play a completely new game. Stranglethorn Vale is the definition of a zone being alive, full with players, animals, pirates, goblins and many memories that we made along the way. There was just something mesmerizing leveling in the jungle under the moonlight. And all of that is emphasized by the ambience and music of the zone. You can constantly hear different animal sounds, the movement of the nature surrounding you, the river, the rain and so many more. In the composition for the theme music for Stranglethorn Vale, lots of percussion instruments were used in order for us, the players, to feel that jungle, or you could even say tribe aesthetic, and to immerse us deeper into the zone. All of that combined with the occasional use of flute, vocal chants and many more. The music there is taking us on a journey, like we were on a safari through the jungle. It was exciting, dangerous, and we didn't know what to expect, but we were thrilled to explore absolutely everything this zone had to offer us. Grizzly Hills. This is what perfection is. The soundtrack of this zone is what makes World of Warcraft special for so many players, and that is why this game will always have a place in everyone's heart. The main instrument used in the theme of Grizzly Hills is called Nickel Harpa, and that helps captivate the cold and cozy Nordic feeling. The perfect way to describe the music in this zone is by simply calling it home. You're surrounded by wildlife, green forest, cold rivers running through the whole zone, deers drinking water from them peacefully, and all of that surrounded by a colossal mountain. After all of the undead and scourge you have battled when entering Northrend, it feels nice to be home and finally come back to the real, you could say, and enjoy the simple things, like fishing for example. And that's exactly why the nostalgic feeling in this zone is so strong and it makes you emotional. Because as an alliance, there is something similar to Howling Forest and you cannot explain it, but something is not quite right. It is a warm and unique feeling that the music in Grizzly Hills creates, and it keeps you hooked. Me personally, I always go there from time to time, simply to rest and appreciate all of the great details and pause life for a moment. The calmness that the zone brings, it's rare nowadays, and you can simply stay and enjoy it for a bit. When Wrath of the Lich King launched, both factions were represented with a choice from which zone they can start their journey. One of the main reasons, of course, was to avoid overpopulation in one particular zone. The choice was between Borean Tundra, and time showed that there was an obvious winner between these zones, and its name is Howling Fjord. Howling Fjord represented everything that Wrath of the Lich King was, and it exceeded players' expectations. From the aesthetic of the zone to the music, everything was absolutely perfect about Howling Fjord. It managed to to capture perfectly the feeling that you're going on a cold expedition on the far north. It is cold, with constant wind. Crows are always circling above you, a reminder of the dangers surrounding you. Borean Tundra got the name of Boring Tundra, even though there is an achievement called Nothing Boring About Borean. Not to mention that Borean disappointed with the Eye of Eternity raid as well. It had so much potential and yet it did nothing. I remember first landing in Vengeance Landing with my Blood Elf Paladin and I was mesmerized immediately. From the big lift to the immediate battle with the Alliance, even though the Lich King was right there and waiting for us. Like Master Oogway said, who knows the ways of the universe? Accident or destiny? And to this day, we still wonder, was the success of Mist of Pandaria an accident, or it was destined to happen? For us, the answer was written in the stars. Mist of Pandaria is the most beautiful expansion to be designed, and it is definitely an achievement Blizzard should be proud of. Here is just a short description of the magical lands of Jade Forest, taken from the official art book, The Art of World of Warcraft, Mist of Pandaria. Quote, "This land of cloud-ringed mountains and hidden bamboo thickets runs along Pandaria's eastern shore. Horde and Alliance forces have spread out to this extraordinary locale, hoping to gain support from the ferocious Hosen and industrious Jinyu races that dwell throughout the Jade Forest. And trust me, there is no better way to describe your first encounter with the zone. It is a breath of fresh air after all the damage the Cataclysm has done to Azeroth. We, the players, are so used to the never-ending war in World of Warcraft that it really catches us off guard when we encounter the peace and harmony of the Pandaren for the first time. Although, one can argue, we are actually thrown in another war between the Horde and Alliance. All of these feelings the Jade Forest manages to catch perfectly. The Blizzard team responsible for the music really outdid themselves here, as they talked about how they have combined the Western soundtrack techniques with Asian-inspired motifs, which are further emphasized by the traditional and folk Asian instruments used in the soundtrack. Everything about Jade Forest is simply a masterpiece. It makes you think about life and truly appreciate your surroundings and blessings. And in the end, it poses the most important question for the Pandaren: what is worth fighting for? If I had to pick an iconic zone, it would definitely be the Barrens. As a player, I experienced so many things for the first time there, it's unimaginable. The Barrens is the equivalent of core memories. The Barrens chat, the Wailing Caverns, Crossroads, your first neutral city, Ratchet, iconic quests, who can forget Mankrik's wife quest, and many more. The Barrens truly lives up to its name. A huge, unfriendly and desolate piece of land. It's so dry, filled with exotic beasts, different races, and all of that under the scorching sun. You understood from the beginning that surviving in that territory would be a challenge, but you are up for it. The main motif in the soundtrack perfectly describes the player's journey through this territory. The melody, played by a bassed horn, is full of ups and downs, constantly asking us questions and then providing us with the answer. It is making a perfect use of the call and response technique commonly used in music. It loops itself perfectly and seamlessly, and without you realizing it. The music was guiding you and telling you what to expect. And that is the perfect description of a player's journey throughout the zone. And then you do it. You finally reach the crossroads, and you get to meet players from different races for the first time. Of course, you're thrilled to prove yourself as a Horde warrior, so many new quests, stories, and etc. But then you face the harsh reality and you quickly realize that proving yourself into that desolate place won't be so easy. Beasts lurking everywhere, low drop chances of many quest items, long walks, and constantly being low on health and mana are just a few of the difficulties that you encounter and you learn from the hard way. But you persevere and conquer those challenges, just to face an even greater one, the Wailing Caverns. Oh my, you really had no idea what was about to happen. You teamed with 4 complete strangers and you shared one simple goal: to conquer your first dungeon. The composers made a really clever use of some primitive percussion instruments to sink you even deeper into the atmosphere of the Barrens. The shaker, which resembles a rattlesnake, is spanned from your left ear to your right ear, and it constantly reminds you that you're in danger. The Barrens was your first challenge, and from there it was only going to get more and more difficult. And it wasn't an easy one. You were thrown directly in the deep from your friendly starting zone, and the contrast was enormous. The Barrens and its flawless music team will always be in our hearts and everyone's memory. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. This is the start of a new journey for me, and you can probably tell that I'm both super excited and a little bit of nervous. I've always loved exploring gaming worlds and adventure, and now I want to share that passion with you. My goal is to build my own world, create music for it, and bring you along to see exactly how I do it. Some of the tracks you heard in this video are ones that I made myself, so I hope you enjoy them. I'll be sharing more about how I create them step by step. So, if this sounds fun, I would love you to join me on this journey and subscribe. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.